Welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Gary Heyer. This is HPTV, the podcast where we help people thrive no matter what they're going through in life. And today I got a very special guest in the studio, a friend of mine that I've known for many years now. Met through a mutual friend, Manny Mijares. Shout out to Manny. Love you, brother.
Yep.
But we've been longtime friends. Jeremy Jackson here has been he was Hobie on Baywatch. You've had quite a career in the entertainment world, in the fitness world. We're going to touch on a lot of things, brother. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. Of course, brother.
Yeah, man.
Nothing but respect and pleasure to be here and kick it with my homie and
Yeah.
see everything you've been up to and, be a part of it. It's cool.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. We're kind of on similar paths right now with what we're doing and trying to help people out there in the world and in recovery and with just health and wellness in general.
Yeah.
Like we said, I want to take it back for a minute and kind of pop up a little memory back to when we met, the Josh Slocum days.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You were, the hip hop guy, had all the dance moves. You get on the mic and get the party going. I just remember such a fun time hanging out with you and all that stuff, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, that was an interesting time, man. Those were really, really fun days. In retrospect, I feel it was definitely kind of one of those serendipitous, meant to be kind of deals. I had recently gotten clean and sober. Gosh, what was I? 21 probably back then, and 22 maybe, 23 tops, right? And I had gone to rehab and everything, and basically had thrown my career away and my life away and my health away, and taxed my family and all that kind of stuff. But after kind of crawling out of the slums of rehab and stuff, I took this little undercover telemarketing job, and I was just like, kind of inch my way back to the land of the living. I don't want anybody to see me, get a little bread in the bank account, because, it was basically all toast by that point. And I had a buddy of mine. He was like, man, we're going to throw a party, me and you together, and it's going to be at Dennis Rodman's nightclub. And it's like, it's going to be a Black Flies party, like Black Fly eyewear. I don't know if you heard of that. And at the time, Black Flies is actually making a big comeback right now.
Okay.
Shout out to all the homies at Black Flies, man. They're good people. But at the time, it was like, that lifestyle, the motocross, the sparkly, boob stickers. It was kind of like over with, So I told my buddy, I'm like, man, I don't think we should do Black Flies, maybe we should keep our options open. And I just happened to be like cruising down Melrose one day, and my buddy was like, hey, see that store right there, man? That store is like, everyone's wearing that stuff right now. Von Dutch.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Let's go in there. And went into Von Dutch, and turned out Christian Audigier was in there, just happened to be there. He was the designer. And I basically made friends with him. And while I was in there, I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing a party? This little nightclub, Dennis Rodman owns it in Newport Beach, and we could do like a Von Dutch party. And he loved the idea. He was just like, absolutely. Gave me like a huge box of hats just to get the party started.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing every Monday night, Von Dutch party. Dennis Rodman, was always there on the beach, and that party just took off, man.
Yeah.
It just exploded. It was a tiny place. And we were killing it cash wise, killing it. All the girls were in there. All the guys wanted those hats for the girls, the pink ones. It was kind of like we caused, man, a ruckus for sure. And that little idea of, hey, maybe we shouldn't do Black Flies, maybe we should do Von Dutch, maybe we should look for like a new company, ended up turning into like an 8-year run of traveling around the world, producing fashion shows in 15 countries and 35 different states, and working with like Young Jock, Chingy, Paris Hilton, the Osbournes, like all these celebrities, all these rap stars, all these performers. And it was a pretty good run. It was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. I remember all the fun I was having. Amy and I and Manny and Kathy, we come through, and you guys definitely showed us a good time.
It was quite a way to kick off the recovery,
I would imagine.
I was clean and sober, just making money hand over fist, partying, having a better time than ever.
Really?
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So let's take it back a little bit more because, you know, there's a whole section of life that led up to that point that we haven't really talked about. I'm sure a lot of people out there that are watching this know your story, but there might be some coming from my network that haven't heard your story. So, you know, Hobie on Baywatch.
Yeah.
Man, what an opportunity. How did that come about? And talk to me a little bit about that. I got some questions for you, but open it up with how that came about for you and what that was kind of like when you landed that and started working that job.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, Baywatch it was cool, man. I mean, I was already a child of a single parent, you know, that grew up near the beach, that loved to boogie board and jump in the ocean and swim in the pool all day. You know, I was already kind of a water baby. And my character happened to be very similar to that. You know, my character on Baywatch was a child of a single parent, grew up on the beach, always had sand in his shoes kind of deal. So, you know, I started acting when I was like 6. I was just, I was driven for the accolades of approval. You know, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be recognized. I grew up without a dad, you know, so getting approval from adults was really rewarding to me. I sought it out like a drug. You know, so I found out that if I like could tell a really good joke or do a good dance move or, you know, put on a good performance, sing a good song, that I could have everybody like applauding for me, you know? So once I felt that, I just sunk my teeth into it. I'm like, I'm going to do this
like a
better
dopamine just hitting the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking like, dude, we're talking like a year old, you know?
Yeah.
We're talking like from a little kid. So by the time I started acting when I was like 6, because it was just kind of obvious that I wouldn't stop performing. You know, I locked myself. That's like in here, it's kind of cool because I would lock myself in my room and I had, you know, I was only like 3 years old, but I had a karaoke machine and I had two sides. And I could pause one side and like record and then play another. I could like mix and like have the microphone and do all this kind of little radio show stuff, you know?
Okay, cool.
And I would just do that for hours. Like I didn't care how long it took to get it right.
Right.
I didn't know it was a job. I just knew I loved it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I started acting when I was 6 and I did a lot of little TV shows and commercials. But by the time I got the audition for Baywatch when I was 10, it was pretty much, you know, game over. I was the right fit, you know. A lot of kids auditioned for it. A lot of very famous people auditioned for it.
I heard something that Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio was up for that audition too, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
That always comes up, and you know, I always say the same thing. It's like, I bet he's pretty bummed. His life could have been a lot different.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad for that guy that he
right?
missed out on that opportunity.
I'm sorry, bro.
Sorry, Leo.
Yeah. You know, all's fair in love and war, man.
Yeah.
You'll make it up on the next round, buddy. Jeez. So then it was bam, you know, it was just kind of another one of those serendipitous meant to be things, I guess, you know. And coming from Orange County, born and raised in Orange County, driving up to Malibu, you know, every day during the summer with, you know, my little mom and our Volkswagen Bug, like catching on fire on the freeway, and I'm like, that was crazy.
Yeah, just good memories all the way around. I mean, that's not a good memory of your car catching on fire,
but it was, you know, it is
the
where you come from,
adventure, right? The adventure of you and your mom doing this together. I know your mom, and every time I've met her, she's such a lovely woman and so supportive. Yeah, it's just what a wonderful woman she is.
I definitely would not be here if it weren't for her. I mean,
can only
besides
imagine.
Birthing me, the support and the love,
sure,
and the unwavering protection, man. She's very protective.
That's dope. So on the set of Baywatch, I mean, you've got a laundry list of stars that you've been you're hanging out with, you've developed relationships with. I mean, one that I can think of that's I mean, David Hasselhoff, big, huge, right? But Pamela Anderson, right? Like being on set with her. Talk to me about that experience, about, you know, dealing with these big icons. Like, you're an icon yourself, especially at that time, but you know, you're there, you're a young boy, and you're mixing in with all these 20-somethings, 30-somethings that have been on the scene, been acting or whatever, and probably a lot of parties and things going on. What was that like, being in that type of atmosphere with that type of stardom?
Yeah. You know, for me, hindsight's always 20/20, you know, but for me, when I look back, you know, because from such an early age, I was hyper focused on becoming a superstar. Like, you know, all I did was watch Elvis Presley, and all I did was watch Michael Jackson, and all I did was know that that was going to be me someday, you know? So in the eye of the storm, it was like par for the course for me. Like, yeah, of course. Okay, what's next? Need more, you know? I'm on page 2 of the magazine. Why am I not on page 1? What do I got to do to get the cover? Like, that was my mentality. Right. I was sick, you know? I was like in it. But, you know, so there was, I never was like, wow, this is so cool. I can't believe
because you were here. Among them. You were, it was your network.
It was my natch, you know? It was my everyday thing. Yeah. But, you know, at the same time, you know, like, Baywatch discovered a lot of people, you know. Basically put Pamela Anderson on the map. You know, got Kelly Slater before really anybody outside of the surfing world knew about him. You know, Michelle Williams was my love interest, who's, you know, Oscar winner, Heath Ledger's baby's mother, you know, like superstar. A lot of big actors kind of were on Baywatch. If you Google it, there's some really, really big names. Mila Kunis, like a lot of people kind of before anybody knew them started on Baywatch. And that's kind of how it was with a lot of these people. Everyone was kind of almost learning the ropes back then. You know, they were kind of coming in fresh, real, raw, silly, cute, you know, not really tainted yet, you know, and the producers were OGs, you know what I mean? They were like Doug Schwartz, his dad is Sherwood Schwartz, who created Gilligan's Island, which is the other longest running show in the history of the world, you know? Like Gilligan's Island and like Baywatch are like the 2 most episodes longest running, you know? So this stuff was like not new to anybody. They were kind of puppet masters, you know, knowing exactly what they were doing, scouring the scene to hand pick these newcomers that would make the show really pop.
Yeah. How long was Baywatch on air for? I mean, I know that there's still reruns, probably like crazy on a bunch of different networks, but how many seasons was filmed?
So I'm pretty sure in LA, like the legit Baywatch was like 11 seasons. Okay. But if you're talking like Hawaii and TV movies and stuff, there's like 15 years of the show, I think, you know. Oh wow. Yeah.
It's wild the run that show went on. I mean, it's iconic.
Well, it's wild enough now that they, you know, are doing a Baywatch documentary. So, you know, the amazing film crew, these guys have done some big stuff. Netflix, you know, Amazon Prime, Hulu. They've done a lot of really quality documentaries already. And they're getting a lot of big like pop icons, like current day people, you know, media moguls and like trendsetters and like all these people who are talking about what Baywatch was then. Like Baywatch then what like Instagram is now. Like it was just a feed of beauty and excitement and action and drama and relationships. It was the original like OG feed of like what it is to be like cool, you know? That's kind of a trip, like how they're putting like, whoa, oh my god,
that's a neat spin on that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's why it took off so much in like Germany and England and like a lot of these kind of gloomier parts of the world where the weather's not amazing and people are all wearing sweaters and going on trains to work and they're like turning Baywatch like, oh, the dream life, like just to run around and be, you know, tan all the time. So I think that's really why it popped so well overseas.
Yeah, I would imagine so. What was the transition from Baywatch and how did that look, and where was life? What was life like then?
You know, it's interesting because you know, just when you put it like that, an interesting new thought came to mind, which is always fun. Okay. I seem to have achieve anything and everything I put my mind out to, but at what cost?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So like I want to be, for some reason, just as a little kid, just want to be Michael Jackson famous. I want to be Elvis. I want to have the influence over people to make girls faint when I walk in the room. Like that just looks like the coolest thing in the world. Like I want that. I need that. It just resonated with me. I don't know. Okay. You know, I didn't know about, it wasn't like a financial. As a matter of fact, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be famous so I could be rich so that I could open my own orphanage, because my mom used to take me to visit this like halfway house, or an adoption like orphanage home, and I just felt like the kids weren't like getting love, enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like the people were mean,
Yeah.
and I like made friends there because I was really hyper and ADD. So she would take me to kind of do these outlets,
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually my goal, was to open an orphanage. I lost sight of that, obviously, and got pretty self-absorbed and whatever. But I did have that focus and that drive to achieve that, and it did happen. But then what? Like you said, right? So, then it was like the party guy. Like, I want to be famous and have all the chicks, like, and be like everybody's favorite, so it's like Hollywood parties and playmates, and, cocaine back then was still like pretty much a cool thing that rich people did. Like, if you didn't do it, then you weren't with it,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You didn't know the right people, or you weren't at the right places,
Sure.
So to be the guy with the 16-year-old kid with the crushed velvet suit on and no shirt and rings on every finger and a bag of the best Coke was actually like, you're the man, like you've arrived, like you're the king, you're the king of the party.
Yeah.
So I wanted to achieve that. I wanted to have the best of both worlds. I wanted to be, surfing and sun-kissed skin and, on TV, and I wanted to be the king of the nightlife,
Mm-hmm.
and, I achieved that, but at what cost, right?
Yeah.
And there's more progression to the at what cost there, but slowly but surely into my teenage years, obviously there's a lot of organic, natural stuff in there. Like every adolescent boy at some point has to start breaking away from his mother, you know what I mean? Or has to start separating himself, right, from the pack or the herd, or finding his voice or finding his freedom, or, there's always a rebellion that kind of goes on naturally. But unfortunately for me, I had that predisposition to be a real addict, where the quality of my life and my finances and my relationships and my physical health, my mental health, and my spiritual health were all being crippled unbeknownst to me,
Right.
and I'm ignorant to it. Matter of fact, I think it's the opposite. And if anybody tells me, then
You were enhancing at that point, right?
How dare you? Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, who are you? Like, do you know what I'm capable of, what I'm doing? Like,
Yeah.
people need me. Like, I got a manager. You know how many people work for me? You know how many people I'm supporting?
Right.
So then it would get all into defensive. And so it got uglier and uglier real quick. So obviously, when you're a drug addict, when you're an alcoholic, the chemicals progress, right? The tolerance goes down. You got to do more, different types, different delivery methods, and then you start mixing and you find great mixtures and cocktails that you agree with or don't agree with, start gravitating towards that. And, so to have that escape becomes more and more elusive. And so it gets worse and worse, if in fact you are kind of a real drug addict. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are probably, binge here and there, or, maybe have a little bit of a problem with it. But, for me, once the switch is on, it's on. I can't turn it off. And it's almost like I'll do anything to keep it on.
I've noticed that about you. I mean, in everything in life, it's not in a bad way. It's actually a beautiful thing, because you can accomplish a lot of great things.
It's a double-edged sword,
look at where you're
right?
channeling your energy now. I mean, we're talking about a dark time in your life that you went through, but you had to go through it to be who you are today. I think it was part of the process that's made you the man that it is, and the book is still unwritten, right? So, so it sounds like at an early age, I mean, we talk about 16, 17 years old, the man, like this guy, you're at the party doing the thing, and underage but it didn't matter, because the world was your oyster.
Right.
Yeah. So am I hearing you right that was kind of the beginning of the sabotage
definitely.
of your TV career and all that stuff?
Yep.
Did it just come crashing? What was that like, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, it was painful because it was mixed with some, puberty stuff, some physical changes, some acne, some you know, getting kind of chubby, you know, you're drinking all the time. So I got this little beer belly. They want you looking good with a six pack. So you got like directors, hey, you're getting a little fluffy, Jeremy. So, you know, there's like some body dysmorphia stuff already coming into play. Some, you know, your voice changes, you're awkward, right? That's the stage. You just get real funky feeling and looking, hormonal changes. So there was, like I kind of said before, some organic and natural stuff that every kind of kid, teen deals with. And then there was some heightened stuff from, you know, having to suit up and show up and be, you know, look and feel like a superstar all the time. Those mixed together was kind of a nasty storm. You know, you got to be hypercritical of yourself and all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty gnarly decline of insecurity and or sleep deprivation and or, you know, of shame and guilt, you know, mixed with pubescent changes and voice and all that is just, I spun out. I was like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't even want to show up anymore. Like, screw you guys. I don't need you. And so I just started messing up any opportunity I had, passing on $1 million opportunities. You know, Jeremy, we wrote this movie for you and it's going to be huge. And we wrote it with you in mind. You're the star of it. I'm like, it doesn't really sound good, you know?
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
That was a Walk to Remember with Mandy Moore.
Really?
And I think Heath Ledger was in that movie. And that was like the one that I was supposed to be the star of. I don't know. You know, I know. Yeah. My whole life could have been different. I mean, that's just one example of 6 to 10 stuff, you know, Free Willy.
But who knows? I mean, what if at that time, you know, where you were at mentally and the addiction, you throw another $1 million on the table, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you
could've
know, so, you know, the give and the take at what cost, right? That would have been another huge cost on you, and maybe even the final cost, because this addiction actually, like, that wasn't the final lesson of passing up those opportunities or losing those opportunities.
Wouldn't that have been nice if it was?
Right. Right. Because now you're looking at like, dude, like I could have maybe, you know, done something different. But here's the thing, like, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And it led you like into other things. So at what point did you get into the fitness side of thing, and did it turn into that type of like, okay, now I'm going to be the biggest and baddest motherfucker.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, what does that look like? Was that about the right transition time about that?
You know, so kind of, you know, 16, 17, started messing stuff up. I got sober when I was 20. We kind of talked about that, about 22, crawling out of the hole. And, you know, I started getting into the fitness thing probably into like 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there. I'd always been pretty skinny, surfer, dancer. Like my background was dancing. I love to dance and surf. I was never really into fitness or working out. And I had built a pretty good little life for myself. I had been sober for like 6 years, 7 years. I feel like I had stayed pretty humble and feet on the ground, working with other guys, taking them through the 12 steps, you know, being a mentor, letting people sleep on my couch and, you know, earning an honest living. And I just kind of actually had a girlfriend whose ex-boyfriend was really ripped. You know, I saw a picture of this guy was buffing, like, hey, I want that. I want to do that. And so that just kind of started on a harmless kind of, I'm going to start working out kick. That same. I want the cover of bodybuilding magazines. You know, now I want to be the next Sylvester Stallone. Now I'm going to come back, you know, I'm going to come back in the entertainment industry. I've worked hard. I've made all this money. I've saved it. I've been smart. Been sober for a long time. And now I'm just going to like radically transform my body to be this absolute freak. And people are just going to throw jobs at me. They're going to throw movies at me, you know? That was kind of the plan, which almost, it seems pretty sane. Like, hey, that's a good idea, dude.
Right.
You grew up on TV, right?
Yeah, you've been there, done it.
What's more manly than coming from a boy on TV to now being this like man, right?
Yeah.
By being super buff and, you know, being an addict, it got all out of hand, you know? So I ended up working with like these doctors from documentaries like Bigger, Stronger, Faster, these steroid documentaries, getting everything prescribed to me and just going all in nasty training, 3 times a day, freak mode, where I'm getting auditions. I'm getting calls for auditions, right? And I'm not showing up because I gotta do my gym. You don't understand. I'm on a really strict diet right now. I can't really perform in a,
Yeah.
But I did it. And at what cost, right?
At
like
what
we
cost?
talked about
you
before.
got those covers.
Got the covers.
Seen 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ended up having to get hair transplants.
Because of the interaction of the
steroids just
stuff?
making my hair fall out, a lot of acne scars, stuff like that. Swollen glands in my nipples that will never go away.
Wow.
I messed myself up to not sleeping at night at all. Horrible acid reflux, night sweats like you wouldn't believe, mood swings, diet pills. It got bad. It got real bad.
Yeah. I mean, at the cellular level, you were killing yourself. When you break down and think about all the drugs that were going in there and how it's interacting. I mean, you talk about your glands being blown out.
Yeah, liver, kidney damage. Even my body odor was really off. You know what I mean? Like I threw my whole chemistry off.
Yeah.
Big time.
How was that trying to get out of that? So you went through an addiction with the party scene of cocaine and alcohol and stuff like that, right? And then now you're talking about a whole other substance,
right?
Where we're talking about, steroids, diet pills, those types of things. One and the same, all the different, or was it?
I think there's definitely a big differentiator there. If you're an addict anyway, or almost anybody, if you do like a bump of cocaine, another one sounds good in a minute, and if you do a shot of testosterone, another one doesn't sound good in a minute, Really? You're like, I took my shot of testosterone for the day. I'm good. I don't want to do that again for a week. That shit hurts. It's bloody. You know what I mean?
Really?
It's called the phenomenon of craving. It doesn't elicit the phenomenon of craving where you wonder what a little more would feel like.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What you're saying. Yeah.
But it's a whole different, it's more of an obsessive compulsive activator.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether you're not big enough or could get a little bigger or leaner, it's more of an obsession of the mind than a physical craving for more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You do, you're smoking speed or something crazy. You got a physical craving for more, a cellular desire to get more in your body, or to be frightened to be away from it. You at least have it on you. If it's not there, you feel like you're going to die. It's not like that with steroids, but there is a obsession of the mind that gets activated that can be just as spiritually bankrupting.
I mean, now you look at where you're at now and you're working in the health and wellness world and you're helping other addicts get through their journeys and stuff. Talk about how that has kind of maybe flipped for you and been the dopamine or whatever that you've been searching for in a different way.
Yeah. Well, really simply put for me, working with other people in hopes to possibly drive a slight interference between them and some of the pain that I've put myself through or had to survive or survived. Is the only thing that keeps me from going back.
I love that. I love that.
It is the serotonin release that combats the dopamine. I crave the dopamine. I want the hit. Boom. I want the likes on Instagram. I want the high. I want the accolades. I want the approval. I want the applause. You know what I mean? And once I'm trying to get on that breadcrumb trail and it's not enough. And the only time that stops is when I just sit down with somebody else who I know is in pain or is headed for pain or knows my pain or who believes and understands that I know their pain. And it just goes, and I don't have any need or obsession to fixate or think of myself or get that dopamine because the serotonin takes over and is the answer.
Yes. Yeah. I've noticed that in my life, in my journey of what I've gone through, I mean, I wasn't an addict in the way of hard drugs, but I was definitely addicted to alcohol and cigarettes, and you know, that was a major part of my life. And then also food, like bad food, I was addicted to that type of whole thing. And then this cancer battle comes on me, and I got to fix my life and fix all those things. And now, like, what has happened is I've got these people that have been kind of following my regiments and wanting more of what I do. And when I'm talking to those people, like you said, like, I just want to do more, because now it's like almost an accountability thing, right? So I've got to keep living my life, because it's got me to this point, and it'd be a long process to hurt me again, probably, but it's at what cost? I don't want to go that route.
Right.
But by coaching other people or hanging out with other people in this world, it has beget me to want to get more and get healthier and explore more on how to treat my body the right way. Yep. And I see that in you, in what you've been doing, man. I've seen this roller coaster, and I didn't know you pre Josh Slocum's in the Hobie years, but right after Baywatch, I think, is when we met, and you know, weren't great friends then, but we've just stayed in contact, and I've just seen this journey of Jeremy Jackson from, you know, the different, and then we didn't even talk about all the different reality shows that you were on, right?
Yeah, Celebrity Rehab.
Yeah. That was quite an experience.
Big Brother UK, that was even worse.
Yeah. Talk to me about that, because I don't know much about that experience, the Big Brother UK.
Worst. Oh my gosh, that's the worst story ever. We can definitely talk about it, but I love what you just said, and I think we are talking about the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
Just because you had to have hole put in your stomach, and just because you had to be clinging on to your life doesn't mean somebody else has to.
Right.
But if they have, you're like brothers, like instant family, right?
Yes.
But we can protect people from having to go where we've gone, to feel how we felt.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because in recovery, in the drug addiction world, you know, we say that nobody changes unless it hurts too bad to not have to, right? That's like, you know, talk about when parents or friends are supporting, you know, the addict, giving him money here and there. You know, they think they're helping, or, you know, just get you a hotel room so you're safe. You're not helping, you're hurting. You know, they need to be freezing cold on the curb with nowhere to go. That's the type of pain that elicits a desire for change, you know?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So it has to be uncomfortable enough before people change usually. But that without the existence of that pain, it's not possible to change. But just because everybody hasn't experienced that existence of pain doesn't mean that you cannot transmit that breaking free from that pain and changing, right? Look what it took for you to change 100%. Like, you're all in now, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing the exact opposite of what you were doing before, like passionately. Like, this is all passion, bro. This is like energy fueled, like obsession, purpose, focused dedication. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like, everything you're investing into this. I mean, this is like not something that a person, like, you could have just laid in bed instead, right?
Right.
Like, easily.
Right.
You
For
could,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And you just decided to do the exact opposite and focus and chomp at the bit about sharing a message that was important to you, right?
Yeah. And you know, you're so right. But why does it have to get to that point is what I think that you and I both can agree upon, right? Like, you look at your life, and you never signed up for addiction and thought that it would get to that point. I mean, you probably were saying to yourself at one point, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I was always telling myself, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to have cancer. Like, come on. And I'll
you got
fix
good
that later.
genetics, bro. Look at you. You're tall,
dude,
American
athlete,
hero.
you know?
Yeah, dude. Totally.
Come on now.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, stage 4 colorectal cancer hits you, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now, like, okay, I have to change. You know, like you said, you're in the streets or whatever, you have to change. But why can't somebody that's watching this episode right now look at a couple of guys and say, man, that's somebody that's went through the ringer of addiction.
Yep.
That's somebody that went through fighting for his life against cancer. And I think the message should be, why wait for those triggers?
Exactly.
Like make a conscious effort right now. We've got so much knowledge. I mean, look at the newsstands have magazines about CBD, healing powers of CBD. Both you and I are in line with that. We represent different companies, but we have the same mission because we represent great companies that provide great products. You know, people can make little adjustments now. You don't have to do it drastically. You could do a little adjustments day by day and make huge deposits into your life.
Right. We already ran the marathon. You know, we know how to get it done. So just follow the steps, and you can get it done a lot easier than all the failed attempts that we had. Right. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. This has been a long process that we've figured out. And, you know, when you got some people on an end trying to be helpful, like, you know, the way that you've been working with people in the addiction world, and you know, I want people to realize you could just reach out, you know, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to compare your life to Jeremy and say, well, I don't have it that bad. Nah, it doesn't have to be exact parallels. Like, it doesn't have to be drug addiction or cancer that you're looking for an answer to get out of. Like, you just need maybe a little nudge from some time to time. So what I'm trying to get to is, who did you have to turn to at any moment, or did you have to just kind of figure this on your own? Did you have a mentor that kind of guided you through?
Oh yeah, man. You know, I would never be able to I can't figure anything out on my own, you know? I've had a lot of really good mentors, along the way. My dear friend, Chris Wolf, call him Wolfie, you know, he's a big mentor of mine. Dave Sandoval, he owns
Purium, right?
Yeah. Spending a lot of time with him, and I go out to his ranch and just spend like 2 weeks with him, you know,
really?
Just go on hikes or just like hear him talk. He's been a huge one for me as far as education goes and mentorship. You know, I tend to do that. My buddy Christian Cianfrani, Christian J. Jim, he's a former Army Ranger who's a personal trainer, and he's just a freak, you know. So spent a year with him, just absorb as much as I can about like the physiology of the body and biomechanics and all that stuff, and hang out with Dave and learn all about the power of, you know, living foods and living energy, and, you know, sourcing of the foods, how and where they grow, and glyphosate, and just, you know, all this kind of stuff. Like, wow. And, you know, I go to church pretty regularly. You know, I think that's a really good part of building your spirit up, and being a part of a collective consciousness, you know what I mean? Getting the good vibrations going, and just lessons to kind of live by. You know, I'm just basically a culmination of all those bits and pieces that I collect along the way.
So what's life look like right now? You're checking in on a consistent basis, working for a company. Let's talk a little bit about that. Where you at?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm pushing it to the limit, man. I kind of got in this little 30-day transformation competition with a friend of mine. We're about to film the Baywatch documentary main title shot. So they're going to show all of the Baywatch cast members then and now, you know, the iconic, you know, I'll be ready, and I'll slow-mo run then and now, you know. So that's 30
dope.
Years old, right? 30 years old. They got little Hobie running with his boogie board. You know, I've been seeing that for 30 years, and in about 2 weeks is going to be my opportunity to
recreate that,
do it again, and be me now, you know. So I'm going like full tilt. I'm like back in the extreme world of training twice a day, going hard, dieting too hard. And I don't like it, you know. I don't enjoy it like I used to anymore.
Really?
It's really cool.
It's a grind, right?
It's too much, man. I'm 39, you know. But I actually went out to Mexico to this amazing place, the Holistic Sanctuary.
Okay.
You would love it. You should look into them.
I would love to.
Maybe talk to them. We're talking, this is totally off topic, but
it's all good.
NAD injections, NN injections, like walking around with a
and what are those IV. NAD, just real quick?
NAD is like nicotinamide something or other.
Okay.
It's a B vitamin that rebuilds mitochondria in the brain.
Okay.
It's just amazing, especially if you're coming off any type of medications or drugs or alcohol. It
Uh-huh.
can basically get your mind back
Kind of like a
without
reboot, huh?
major reboot. But
Yeah.
also, if not, just if you're not coming off anything, it helps rebuild the mitochondria in your brain. It's anti-aging. It's amazing stuff. And they have a bunch of other intravenous IVs that they do throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
GABA receptor refreshers, hydration minerals, kind of like a Gershon therapy type
Mm-hmm.
anti-cancer protocol. They do intravenous ozone gas, and so killing viruses and bacteria and stuff like that. They have you do like Dead Sea salt baths every night. They have Reiki. They have massages. They have oxygen hyperbaric chambers, and they just get you all plant-based diet, all organic, non-GMO, 80% raw. They do like some cooked lentils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was out there for a week, dude. It was and it was cool, but I realized like it's too extreme for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want this extreme life anymore.
Uh-huh.
I'll just like chip away at it, man. I used to be so overboard and just do everything at once. I don't like it anymore. So I'm in this 30-day doing everything at once, and it's tough. It's taxing. And hopefully this will be the last time I'll have to go for it this deep. But I worked in rehab for years. I was a breathwork meditation practitioner, which was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, leading people through breathwork meditations, which by creating a absence of carbon dioxide in the bloodstream from a very specific pattern of breathing, playing some super spiritual music, praying over people. I got tuning forks, I got essential oils, and I'm laying hands on people, and I'm saying my own little silent prayers, and maybe burning some sage or something, getting some energy whooping around the room, and people are starting to cry, and people are starting to laugh, and just this very specific breathing pattern that releases your natural DMT, dimethyltryptamine, right?
Okay.
Spirit molecule, which is present in your body, and you can tap into it to activate a spiritual experience, or to activate some inner child work, or some clarity, and some really cool stuff. And I did that for over 2 years, working in rehabs, doing personal training, doing diet and nutrition consulting in rehabs, and doing the meditation stuff. But more recently, about a year ago, I got an opportunity to work for one of my best friends in the world. He was one of my former personal training clients, a guy I helped lose 30 pounds. And we started a CBD company, man. We took it public. And, I'm back in kind of the marketing world, kind of almost feeling like back in the Von Dutch days, like promoting that lifestyle, and like getting that brand out there, and building the story, and getting the right people around. So luckily I had a little bit of experience. It wasn't totally foreign to me. I'm not like pitching nightclubs anymore,
Right.
pitching like, spas and yoga shops,
Right. A little different.
Yeah. But at least it's not something that's totally foreign. And it's cool that we're in the same business, and we get to share that benefit,
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, CBD, cannabis in general, has been a huge thing for me. In the cancer world, cannabis, THC, CBD, all the cannabinoids, eating it raw. I mean, I've learned it all. And, what I've noticed in the marketplace right now is that people are wanting more of this, because they're seeing all the accolades. They're seeing the magazines on the shelf that's talking about healing powers and stuff. They want to know about it. But then they go to the internet, and they've got all these different companies out there. I mean, it's like the wild, wild west in this industry. And you just don't know what you're getting if you go to a dispensary, or where you're at, whatever. Like, you kind of got to know somebody. What do you see in this marketplace as a challenge for the consumer?
I usually tell people like this, there's a lot of money in the industry. And most of the people that have their hands in distribution for like C-stores and these vape stores are the type of people who could care less what's in the product. All they care about is their distribution channels. They have 5,000 shops that they can plug and play. You know, they want the cheapest bottle, the cheapest label, and the cheapest product so they can make the most profit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And these are, you know, these are just straight up businessmen. You know, these are not holistic wellness practitioners. The holistic wellness practitioners are the guys that are making the stuff in their garage, you know, solvent free, you know, with like by hand, that are healing people, that are putting energy and vibrations into this stuff. You know what I mean? They're believing this is going to help somebody. You know, we're talking about like some big warehouses just pumping out as quick as they can formulas
and patents.
Yeah,
that's what's made this rich,
because their stronghold is distribution, and that's what you're gonna see first. Sales copy, web portals that are gonna take you into this, and you're so hyped up by the time you just buy it, because you're like, it's gonna cost me $80 to get out of this wormhole on the internet. I'm just gonna do it. And it's really sad, and it really pisses me off, because I believe that there's mothers out there, that there's you know, sons out there, that there's fathers out there who, you know, are, you know, a hop, skip, and a jump away from slamming heroin, you know, because they got a surgery on their shoulder and the doctor's going to give them some Norco, and their friend said, hey, try CBD. So they swung by the AM/PM and they saw little green bottles and fucking stuff that said CBD, and they're rubbing it on their shoulder and like, this didn't work at all. I'm taking the Norcos, and bam, 6 months later, they can't get the Norcos anymore, and they're buying fentanyls on the internet, and their whole families down the tubes. And I hope the people that are mass producing this garbage realize that they're killing people.
Oh, amen, man. I agree with you. And it's all about the quality of the product and the love that's being put in. I mean, I talk about my partner a lot in Scorpion CBD, where like, if he's not going to give it to his own grandma, he's not going to give it to anybody else. And that's the type of love that needs to be sought after in the products. And I know that about you guys, because I know you, and you're not going to latch on to anything if it doesn't make sense. And Pachamama just recently was awarded something, wasn't it? Weren't you guys? I mean, let's talk about that for a minute.
So we got the Purity Award from the Clean Label Act.
Okay.
And you know, there was only 4 companies out of 244 companies that got it. And it's a pretty prestigious thing, man. I mean, it's basically, we are full-blown approved for, you know, food grade and human consumption. No heavy metals, no pesticides, no herbicides, no fungicides, no dissolved solids. You know, there was they did 244 other companies, and you know, some of the companies had, you know, 7 times more CBD than was on the label. You know, some of the companies had, you know, 4 times more lead than is even allowed. You know, some really scary stuff came up. Some companies had no CBD. The Clean Label Project, they actually go out and buy these products. They didn't involve the companies, you know. They go out and just buy it like a consumer, and they privately.
And that tells you a lot, because if you're having the stuff submitted, then there's some greasing that could be going on.
Right. We actually found out about it after they were done, and we said, hey, what can we do to be a part of this? You know, so we sent them our product, and you know, besides Clean Label Act's Purity Award, we won Best Tincture at CBD Expo, like West. We keep winning really cool awards, which is really, really fun, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I could see that you're proud of that. And I think that the biggest thing is knowing your source and understanding where you're getting this stuff from. And I think it'll trickle out from that. And I always tell my viewers, the people that I'm talking to, I talk about the different awards and things that we've won as well on our side. But you see that it's just, it's the love that's being put into this.
People are very aware that, like, if they drink box wine, they feel like crap. Right. And they're very aware that a $900 bottle of wine that's grown in the same vineyard in France from the same grapes in one region, they're going to feel freaking great. You know, that's why it's so expensive. Right. It's going to be a pure, unique, reliable experience. And you could go back and have that same bottle of wine and have the same experience every time. Like, it doesn't change. Consistency. Right. The contents of the soil, the region, the temperature, the extraction process, it's all the same. So people get that for wine, and they're starting to get it now. Now coffee is getting really popular for this
Sure.
single origin, organic, cold brewed coffee. It's less acidic. You have less jitters. You know what I mean? Like people understand this, but for CBD, they don't understand it just yet. You know, so that's kind of coming into play. I think the awareness and the education is coming up. You know,
well, you got people like us that are trying really hard to educate the right way, and teach people that this is something that's safe, that can help a lot of things. I mean, you talk about addiction recovery and going through that. You want to talk a little bit about how CBD kind of helps in that process? Because it, you know, when you're addicted to something, it triggers the dopamines and this reward system in your brain, where CBD can go also trigger that reward system, but it's not giving you any negative effect. In fact, it's giving you a massive positive effect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for the longest time, you know, I've always wondered why rehabs don't have a whole huge cabinet that people can just go up to at any time and like, hey, my back hurts. Okay, here's, you know, you got your ionic magnesium mineral drops, you know, and hey, I can't sleep. You got your Kava Valerian, you know, I'm going to go take that. Hey, I'm having anxiety. Here's, just label it anxiety, sleep, pain, focus, energy. Let's get some green tea. You know, I feel like crap. We're so used to, as addicts, taking something to make us feel better. But what if you realize that everything you were looking for, you could find naturally in non-addictive plants? Like, holy crap. Wow. You know, I thought I needed Coke. No, I just needed like some freaking, you know, I needed some matcha green tea extract, you know, and some adaptogen lion's mane mushroom, you know, nootropics. I had no idea. Right. Yeah. Like, but they're never going to know that unless somebody teaches them, because somebody taught them how to get high. Yeah. You know, somebody told them that was going to work for them.
Right. And what I've noticed too is a lot of these people, or, you know, a lot of the consumers are thinking they're tying these natural remedies to the drug world. You know how many times I hear people saying, yeah, but I don't do drugs, so I'm not going to do CBD. It's like, no, this isn't a drug. This is an extract from a plant. Right. You talk about other extracts. I'm a firm believer that God created us, and God also created everything that we need to help our body heal, thrive, whatever you want to call it, that just can grow out of the ground from a seed.
I agree.
You know, so touch on that a little bit, because you've been a guy that works out real hard, and all that stuff. So talk about the consumption of your diet and how that plant, because I've went into the plant-based just recently 7-8 months. You've been in and out of that. I don't know if you still are, but you've been plant-based. You've showed me a lot of stuff and educated me, so thank you for that at the beginning.
Awesome, bro. Yeah.
But talk to me about a little bit about that.
Well, you know, first and foremost, I totally agree that everything we need is readily accessible. Take that back. Everything we needed was readily accessible in plant form. And when the scary thing is, when you start to really get into that and research into that, you start to realize that a lot of what we need has been being taken away and withheld and changed and genetically modified, right? And demonized, you know? So, you know, is this disease ridden kind of stuff on purpose, you know? So you get into a lot of the conspiracy theories and stuff. It's pretty scary. You know, I've talked to people that say, you know, if you ate a salad from 1500 years ago, you would be high off your chair, because we had a 1500 mineral count in the soil and, you know, 900 bacteria count that's only available in like frozen tundra that's been frozen since, you know, for thousands of years, because acid rain has eroded all the soil, and the plants and vegetables don't even have the nutrients we need anymore. You know, they're like, it's all half cocked, it's all synthetic, it's all grown with elemental or compound minerals, not element minerals, not natural minerals. So it's kind of sad, you know, but I think there's definitely ways to fight back. CBD is definitely one of the pillars of that. Full spectrum hemp extract, or cannabis extracts, depending on the goals and the issue. You know what I mean? That small presence of THC, I think, is very, very important. But a lot of this is changing, which is amazing.
Yeah, sure.
MLB, right? You heard about?
Yeah,
freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah,
that's gonna save a lot of lives.
It really is, because there's a lot of those Major League Baseball players that are addicted to the opioid drugs because of their injuries and stuff. Yeah, I mean the NFL too. All these athletes. I think that I'm really excited for where the world's going with cannabis specifically, but also the awakening that's going on, because we also talk about, like, a lot of people say, but we're made to eat meat and all this stuff. I get that. Like, people are just not going to stop eating meat, but we also got to realize, like, where we're getting our stuff is no longer where it was when these people made the Ford food groups. You're not going out to your family's farm and pulling your grains and feeding your cows and then letting them run the pastures and stuff like that. Like, it's just not the same world, and we got to realize that when we're making decisions for ourselves.
You gotta. I usually tell people, you try to unknow as much as possible when you're trying to make decisions.
That's a good.
Try to unknow everything you think you know and try to make a decision. If I was on a jungle island and I had nothing, what would I do? There's a mango. There's a boar. I'm definitely going for the mango, dude. Sorry. I might eventually wrestle that boar down. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm not doing that every day.
No.
And I'm not storing that anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there might be some situations where I've found something and, I'm going to eat the carcass,
Yeah.
And, I have an interesting theory. So the alpha wolf, right?
Okay.
The biggest, smartest. Unfortunately, alphas always die the youngest because there's always somebody looking to take them down, right? But the alpha wolf is the only one who eats pre-digested greens. It gets the first the first meal off the kill, and they kill herbivores, right? So whether it's a bunny or a deer, it's eating the organ meat. It's eating the stomach, which has pre-digested greens, fibers, berries, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
And probably the liver and like the kidneys or whatever, and then it's out. And then the rest of the wolves, they just get all the lean muscle mass, and I think there's a reason that it's the biggest and the smartest, because it's getting those pre-digested greens and nutrients. So when I am eating meat, because I am a consumer and I do still have, to achieve some, aesthetic, look for TV and stuff like that. I tell people all the time, I probably eat more greens than a vegetarian, and I'm eating meat at the same time. And yeah, it's grass fed, it's organic. And I, try to get it not frozen and not overcook it and get the carcinogens. I would love to find a hunter that'll ship me some stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there is a lot when you're talking about the energy of an animal who's been abused and who's had a horrible life. You want to be the warrior on the field. You want to be the Native American. That's, you know what I mean? It's me against you. There's something commendable in that battle for survival that we don't have anymore. By eating factory farms food, it's kind of it is disgusting. I see that, but I'm on in both sides of the world. I'm like the hippie guy, and then I'm also like, I gotta get buff, man. And I really do get buff when I eat meat. But
I heard an interesting theory the other day that I'll share with you that maybe it turned a light bulb on my head, and I'm all plant based right now, and I don't know if I'll go back to meat or whatever. That's another story. But I heard this guy was in here doing a podcast the other day, and he shared a story about how he views eating. He says, look, I've got all these teeth, 32 teeth, right? And then he's got 4 canines. So he looks at it as, okay, I've got the teeth to break down meat, but it's only 1/8 of my growth. So therefore my diet will be 1/8 meat, 7/8 plant.
That makes sense. That makes
I
sense.
was like, dude, that's pretty profound.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of meat, but you're being real selective. You're doing a minor amount because, let's face it, I mean, our bodies are designed to process certain things easier or more difficult. One of the biggest carnivores on the planet, the lion.
Yeah.
You know, that lion's intestines is 6 feet long.
Right. And they sleep all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our intestines is 20 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot longer to get that stuff through our system. And a lot of times these harder foods like meats take a long time to break down, which then turns into toxins and causes a lot of inflammation and illness in our body. So, you know, diet has been a huge part of my transformation. CBD has been a huge part of it.
Yeah.
We've even talked before about Kangen water because you're familiar with that. I mean, you've spent a lot of time focusing on these things. Talk a little bit about water consumption, if you will.
Oh my gosh.
Your experience
I mean, I'm doing 2 gallons of water a day right now.
Okay.
You know, I've heard of people doing like 3 to 5 and being immune to sunburn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cannot get a sunburn because of water consumption. Like, it's impossible. You know, it's pretty, like, there's some amazing stuff out there. You know, the bottom line for me, you know, water is one of the most profound representations of a higher intelligence, of a master architect. You know, I feel like there's God in water, you know, and I want to drink the best water and as much of it as I can. And I want to have like a good prayer while it's going in me. I want to know that it's grabbing toxins and pushing out of my body. I want to know that it's giving my cells the type of electrolyte charge that it needs to absorb nutrients, you know. And, you know, where would the earth be without the water? You know, the sea is like the heart pumping, you know, and the rivers are like the vascular system, you know. We just need that, man. And you can imprint your water, you can have good thoughts with your water, you can pray over your water, but you freaking have to drink it. And I don't know how anybody I don't know how anybody gets by without not drinking a ton of water. And obviously you see everything going on with Nestle and Arrowhead and oh my gosh,
they're in some trouble.
They're just municipal, you know, tap water, purified water. You know, I've had 2 Kangen machines. They've both gotten stolen from me by ex-girlfriends.
Oh, jeez.
It's a hot ticket item, I guess.
Yeah.
I like to set mine up with a really with a great pre-filter system.
Yeah.
And I always tell people to do that. They have it at my new gym, Motion Fitness. Right when you walk in, you can grab it. So I was like, hey, did you get a pre-filter for that? They're like, no, what's that? I'm like, you got to go to the place down the street and they'll hook you up with one. Like, okay, we'll do it. I'm like, I'll be here every day.
Nice.
Yeah. So stoked on that.
It's amazing how, you know, our worlds have been so different, but have collided to be so similar.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Like, just what a journey that you've been on. And I'm glad that you're able to be here to tell it and that you're comfortable telling it, because I think what you're doing can be hugely transformational. You're talking about wanting the spotlight and wanting that reassurance and that affirmation. I would imagine that you're getting a lot of that from when you do dive in and help people. And I know that you've been more active in it, and now you're, you know, going a different direction with Pachamama, but you're still helping people.
Yeah.
And doing it with just sharing your message too. Like, you know, whether you know it or not, because you're smiling through all this, because you're living this lifestyle, and people that have known you and watched your journey, like, it is truly inspiring to see you standing here looking so healthy, feeling so good, smiling the way that you do,
brother,
with all that you've gone through. I mean,
now I just want to give the spotlight back, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to give the spotlight back now. I don't need it anymore. I don't want it.
You're the beacon, right? You're the reflection.
I'd love to be the reflection for anybody who needs one, you know?
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Yeah. Mad respect, man.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about how people can find you. If somebody's looking to want to lock arms with you or find out more about what you're doing, how are they going to find you? What's going on?
Yeah. At Jeremy Jackson Fitness on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook also. I'm Jeremy Dunn. Jeremy Jackson Dunn is my real name. So I have a Jeremy Dunn, which is my personal page, just because Facebook made me like show my my driver's license because I hadn't used it for a long time one time, and they like changed
Really?
my name. I don't know. But Jeremy Jackson fan page, basically, just search me on social media, Twitter, you'll find me. Mostly on Instagram though, as far as getting back to people. I do some private mentor group meetings at my own home. I'm fielding calls and stuff. A friend in need is a friend indeed. So I usually don't let anything go by the wayside. If anyone's hurting or wanting some support, I put my own crap to the side for them. So don't hesitate.
I've seen it, and I've watched you do it, and it's amazing. If you've got anything that you can leave behind right now, as far as I've got an audience of people that have latched onto me because of some inspiration that they've found in my fight of discovering this new journey in life. Anything, knowing what you've gone through, anything that you could share with people, that just in a parting message here.
Well, it seems kind of like a lot of pressure, but
you like the pressure.
Yeah. None of us can transmit or give away that which we do not possess, right? And you don't know until you know. So tapping into the truth, embracing the solution, you really got to try this stuff. You have to be the change before you can give the change away. Get 100% plant-based, drink nothing but Kangen water, like do CBD every day for 30 days. And so otherwise, none of it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Do it all at the same time. Do a 5-day water fast. Once you start to experience this change, and awaken the spirit and, suppress some of these just social constructs or these ideas of how we're supposed to think or be or do or have, once you fight back, you get a lot of power and you can experience a lot of freedom. You can change your life and you can continue to change other people's lives. So that's what he's doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what we're here today doing. And we need more people to do it with us.